Chapter 31, Section 14, Herpes Simplex viruses, HSV, and human papillomaviruses, HPV. Herpes Simplex 1, HSV1, more commonly now referred to as human herpes simplex 1, human herpes simplex 2, and whatnot. Why the human designation? Because they're finding that there are versions of the herpes viruses that infect other mammals, and they want to make sure we keep the distinction. And yes, I know I am childish every time I say herpes. I get that? I don't know. So me. But anyways, what we do know is HSV1, simplex 1, is more commonly referred to as the oral herpes. Simplex 2 is more commonly referred to as the genital herpes. But over the past few decades, we've seen a slight switch. HSV1, yes, while it's still predominantly oral, we're finding it also when they go and they swab and they take samples from genital sores. So it's switching there. And more often than, it's increasing that when they go and they swab, take a sample of cold sore on somebody's lip, somebody's face, initially they would have just said, hey, it's HSV1. They're now finding it's HSV2. I'll let you figure out why genitals showing up in oral and oral showing up in genitals. You can figure that out. If you can't figure it out, ask your mom. She'll explain it to you. So anyways, what we do know. Herpes virus. God, I did it again. Herpes virus. Infects epithelial cells, whether we're talking around the mouth or we're talking the genitals. Affects the epithelial cells. And the thing is, that's not the host. It's not the tropic host that they truly want to be in. They will do a transient infection of those as they're trying to penetrate deeper, because the true host for herpes, HSV1, HSV2, is neural cells. They want to infect the virus. So your nerves are not on the surface. Your nerves are buried down below layers of epidermis, dermal layers. So got to somehow get through the epidermis, dermal layers there. It's not like it's going to swim around because it's a virus. What it's going to do is transiently infect. Pass to the basal layer, transiently infect as it moves down the layers, epidermis, dermis, to the nerves. The oral HSV1 causes what we commonly refer to as fever blisters, cold sores. Why do these cold sores or fever blisters? Why do we call those? Because they pop out when people are cold. What's happening when it's cold? Well, the nerves around here are getting overly stimulated. Turns out people also get the fever blisters, the cold sores, when they get too much sun, when they drink too much caffeine, and all sorts of weird things that trigger a response by these nerves. The virus is a latent infection. It's inserted itself, remember, into our genome or chromosomes, but it's doing it at the basal ganglia. And why does it always come here to the mouth? Well, because it's exiting out basal ganglia down the dendrite or axon, to the terminal ends. Comes out the ear hole, innervates the face. Hey, look, there's the terminal ends around the mouth. So, spread, contact, or, saliva, because if it's in the mouth, yes, you can get the blisters, herpes, cold sores and stuff in your mouth. Lesions without treatment take 2 to 3 weeks to heal. We've got good drugs that will shrink that time down to less, about a weekish. These are the cold sores. Herpes simplex 1. Chances are, by the distribution here, this was not somebody kissed somebody and look what they got. Chances are this, in my mind, I look at this and I think birth. During birth, turns out mom may have had herpes, passing out. There you go. Or while they were a little bitty baby, somebody with a cold sore, or somebody with HSV1 kissing their face. Oh, look at that cute baby. Here's the problem with HSV1. If you have cold sores, you are shedding a virus in the cold sore because that's where it's coming out. And remember, one goes in, hundreds, thousands come out, and they cause the cells to burst. Well, they're infecting the epithelial cells, causing the burst. That's why you get that cold sore. It's a blister. It pops, it oozes, and that ooze liquid, millions of viruses. People mistakenly think I'm only shedding virus. I'm only exposing people when I have the cold sore. When I have the cold sore, no big deal. Wrong. We are now finding out you are always shedding the virus. If you have cold sores due to herpes simplex 1 or 2, you are always shedding the virus. So, young lad here, either during birth or someone when he was a baby. Oh, look at the cute baby. Covered. What around the eye here and stuff like that you see, those are actually small little blisters. Wherever these blisters are, when that burst and that fluid, those are cells that lysed and a little bit of pus coming out, and there's going to be thousands, if not millions, of viruses ready to infect the next person. Herpes simplex, primarily associated with, yes, the anogenital regions. Penis, vagina, labia, areas around there, and the anus. Okay? Simplex 2 causes more painful blisters for some reason. I don't know if it's more innervation down there, or if it's something about the virus and its release mechanism as it's causing the blisters, or if we're just a little bit more, oh my God, something's leaking on my penis, leaking on my labial folds, and our brain just magnifies it. Don't know. HSV2, generally going to be sexual. Genital, oral to genital, whatever. Genital herpes, as well as oral herpes, incurable. Once you got it, you got it for life. There are drugs that are great for limiting outbreaks, okay? Limiting how much you shed. Never completely gone. So whether you're talking the penis, you're talking the vagina, you're going to see these little clusters of blisters. What separates this from other things? Oh, is this a herpes blister or is this a pimple? This is going to be a clear liquid, maybe yellowish, slightly yellowish, but more clear. And it's going to be, a distinct pustule. Now the pustules may cluster together. Pimples, you're not going to get that clustering. Pimples, you're, going to have that white or the red cat, top of the pimple. Because then, come on, everyone here has popped a pimple. And it's not going to have clear or this yellowish tint fluid. Whether you're on the penis or labial folds, there you are. That's why you ask. Anything I need to be aware of? Yay, nay. One of the treatments of choice for herpes. Not a curative, but it's something to keep it in check. Acyclovir. There's a few other drugs out there, but none of them are as good as acyclovir. Acyclovir has been around for decades. Acyclovir is what is known as a nucleoside analog. You look here, guanine, okay? It's one of the DNA molecules, remember? Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. What you just don't see here is the sugar phosphate. Acyclovir has a modified guanine nucleotide, has all this added to it. What this does, you take the drug acyclovir, dissolves in your stomach, enters in your bloodstream. All the cells in your body take this up. All the cells in your body that are getting ready to make new DNA take this up some of the times when they should be taking this up to insert into the new DNA. Where they insert the normal guanine from your cell, no big deal. When they insert this nucleoside analog, DNA replication stops right there. Boom. Because of this. This interferes with DNA replication. This interferes with transcription translation. Now, I know some people are sitting there thinking, well, what happens if it inserts into our chromosomes? Well, turns out your DNA repair machinery that is scanning up and down your double helix sees this as a mistake or misreads this as DNA damage, cuts it out, inserts in the correct guanosine, and just moves on. Viral genomes can't do that because remember, they're single-stranded stuff. This causes a premature stop. Nothing works. Is it perfect? No. Is it the best we got? Yep. Human papillomavirus. A papilloma is a growth, kind of like a wart, a growth, oversized skin tag, whatever. Human papillomavirus. The papilloma is caused by a viral infection. The virus gets in, alters the growth characteristics of the cells that it infects in the dermis. Causes them to overgrow in a certain way. Next thing you know, you've got a growth. Whether that growth is down genital, up in the vagina, cervix, uterus. There's the word I couldn't think of earlier. Uterus. Well, unrestricted growth means it's going through mitosis over and over and over because of a viral infection. Hey, guess what? Uncontrolled growth, uncontrolled mitosis, that is the number one characteristic of what we refer to as cancer. So, this is a cervical neoplasia. Neoplasia is a type of cancerous growth. Does everybody who gets papilloma infection, HPV infection, get this? No. They just have an extreme increase in the probability that they will develop neoplasia at some point in their life. Because, again, human papillomavirus is not a self-limiting virus. It is one that you get and you get to keep because as it's going through the layers, it gets down to the stem cell layer. That makes all of our mucous membranes, our skin and whatnot, and it infects one of the stem cells, and then every daughter cell that stem cell will make for the life of that stem cell will now also be infected with a virus. Increased chance of neoplasia. So that's why they've gone through and they have developed Gardasil. Gardasil was initially marketed for teenage girls. They were trying to get teenage girls, and there still are, pre-sexual activity. Because think about it, if they've had sex, there's a good chance they've already been exposed to human papillomavirus. Gardasil is not going to do anything to protect them from something they've already got. So they're trying to get it early enough, 12, 13, whatnot, for the first shots, and then subsequent shots, I can't remember, every year or something like that, a couple of years. After a few years, then they started marketing it to the young boys, okay, because while we're not going to get cervical neoplasia, we are a vector. Spread it girl to girl. So if we have a vaccine for it, we're not going to get infected with it. We're not going to spread it. Number of girls getting exposed goes down. Number of cases goes down, is the idea.